Okay, we've been having a discussion, or three discussions at once here off the set. This segment brought to you by Express Frame. Graduations are taking place across the country right now. Congrats to my cousin Maddie, by the way, on her graduation from UT. And if you are wanting to create a memento, a keepsake that will last forever, take that diploma, that cap, that tassel off the cap, what have you, take it to Express Frame. They do these fantastic displays that I was in there just last week, and it's really impressive, the stuff that they do. There was a graduate student who had like 3 or 4 different tassels. I had never thought of that, but it is a cool display. So it's graduation season. Get that diploma, that cap, that tassel, have them make a shadow box, have them make a terrific display for your office or your home at Express Frame, the Common Shopping Center, right off Peters Road out in Knoxville, out in West Knoxville. All right. Let's take a look at Tennessee's schedule. There we go. This is September schedule for Tennessee. They open with Bowling Green, who was 0-5 in their season last year, playing in the MAC. Pittsburgh was 6-5, playing in the ACC last year. And Tennessee Tech was 2-5 at the FCS level. Then you got Florida in here. My question is Tennessee undefeated when Florida comes to town? Josh Ward.
Maybe.
Good answer, Chuck.
Cavaleris is doing his own drinking game. He texted me earlier.
I lean yes. Here's actually why. Because UCF went up against Pittsburgh. So Josh Heupel and his staff have already prepared for Pitt.
Taking I made these bullet points, and now you're stealing them. Go ahead. I hate you, Josh.
Well, then you'll have a chance to be right. So
yeah. Nice.
I would have gone 1-1-1 if they would, or 2-0-1 if they had been listening to our tie segment earlier.
Yes.
But I'll say 3-0. I'll say they get Pitt.
Okay, as Josh was alluding to, Pat Narduzzi has faced Heupel. 3 years ago, UCF beat him. 2 years ago, Pitt beat UCF 35-34 in a shootout. So it's not like he hasn't seen him. Not to mention the fact, Pitt last year, everybody's chalking up as an easy win.
Yeah.
They beat Florida State and Virginia Tech last year. They weren't great programs, they weren't great teams last year. Do you think Tennessee could have beaten Virginia Tech or Florida State last year? I don't. So this idea that Pitt's a pushover, yeah, I think you're the pushover. Pitt should be looking at you and going, yeah, they were 3-7. They suck. Look, they've lost 25 players. So I'm going with a loss. You say undefeated barely. I say they're 2-1. Bob?
Loss. One loss. They will
ironically
to
Tennessee
undefeated.
Tech. Who's the loss to?
Oh, it's going to be Pitt, I think. I mean, we'll see, but I just don't look at the makeup of this team right now and see it. Now maybe you come out of August and all of a sudden you're going, wow, Milton is a great quarterback and these defensive players do look a lot better. And I think offensively, I think it will be a shootout. But defensively, I just see too many question marks right now.
Undefeated?
I think so. I mean, ultimately, I hate to lean on Josh's maybe. I mean, it's going to be a tight game. I think it really may come down to just if you win the turnover battle, you're going to win the game. If you lose it, you're probably going to lose it. Can you get some stops? We'll see. But I think ultimately, Pitt's not a defense that has a ton of athletes to be able to shut you down. And I think they're going to put up enough points to win that game. And I have a pretty good atmosphere. People are going to be excited to be back in that stadium. That's going to be the first real big game.
Okay. I certainly think it's possible for them to be 3-0. What I think is a little ridiculous, though, is the number of people who say, well, you'll be 3-0 when you
go ahead and say
yes, they just blow right by.
Go ahead and cross it off. Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't think you're anywhere near the point with this program that you cross off anybody as a sure thing victory. Pitt, Bowling Green, maybe Tennessee Tech. But if you watch them lose to Georgia State last year, you can't say, I don't even have to look at Bowling Green. You can't. And that was an 8-4 Tennessee team that lost to Georgia State.
You're sitting in the middle of the fairway. You're 150 yards out. The pin's in the middle. Can you hit the green? There's a lot of things that can go wrong and go sideways. If you do everything right, you should be fine. But if you don't, and there's a lot of things you can do wrong, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah. No, and I mean, here's a wild card. What if the end of August, all of a sudden the NCAA comes down and says, oh, by the way, here's your penalties. And now all of a sudden you've got a team that's been told you're not doing this, you can't do this, you're limited to that. I mean, like you're saying, a lot of things can happen between now and then. But I just don't think this team is good enough to look at those 3 games and say, yes, you will win all 3 of them. I will go with the 2 maybes. You can be 3-0.
Sure.
But to just sit there and slap the table and say, yep, done deal, let's get to Florida.
See, the problem is that's considered negative to sit here and point to, and no, it's just reality. The problem is people are going to get too positive and then they get madder and then it blows up your social media.
August is going to be a wild month in the lead up.
So
because David's right, there'll be a lot of excitement, so that will inflate what the expectations
It always
are.
does.
too.
Yeah.
You could do a show on defensive depth and how it may kill you before this year's over with.
I just still worry about the fact that you had a spring game where you always see walk-ons playing in a spring game. I know. I've never seen that many walk-ons playing in the first
Yeah.
series of a spring game in my life. They had a lot of guys playing that first quarter. Maybe that's just, well, that was the third team, so that's why. Okay, I still don't remember ever seeing that many walk-ons playing in a Tennessee spring game in my life. So that worries me about, if your first line is competent, when you first start twisting ankles, how long does it get before you're no longer competent? That you're down into the walk-ons or the guy who is fourth place on the chart for a reason. That's my concern. David Oven, Bob Hodge, Josh Ward, thanks to all of you for being here. Thanks for watching today. Happy Mother's Day again. Thanks to the Bird for joining us. We'll see you right back here next Sunday, hopefully sans Bird.